it's staggering the amount of people that leave the ministry.
I think, and I'm probably going to wrong. So, Jamie, fact check me on this one. We don't have a Jamie.
Okay, you know what? I've got my computer
Yeah,
sitting
he's got his
right
computer
here.
right in front of him. I think it's like 12,000 a year. I could be wrong, but I think it's something like 12,000 ministry leaders leave a year. And if that's the case, it is a staggering number to look at and talk about. I just matter of fact, I just stepped away in December from pastoring a church that 10 years of pastoring, not because I was mad, not because I was angry, but because, obviously the Lord told us to, but it was a season that was really tough.
Yeah. It says about roughly 250 pastors leave the ministry per month.
250 a month. So I was a little high on the 12,000 a year, but
yeah,
close to 1,000 to maybe I meant 1,200 a year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
This says 1,500 to 1,700 as commonly cited. That was this Lifeway research.
And that's pretty credible right there. So that's a lot of dudes that are quitting. Yeah. And here's some of the things that are happening right now.
The common reasons for leaving. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Common reasons for leaving. Change of calling, 37%. Church conflict, 23%. Burnout, 22%. Jeez. A poor fit within a church, 17%. And family issues, 12%.
That is staggering. Bad fit. Burnout.
One of the biggest things I say that to handle burnout is as you go is take your day off. Yeah. Like Mondays is my day off.
Absolutely. I
am out of the office, but I didn't have to like lay down the law or anything like that. But one of my guys, like our photographer, he posts the pictures either Sunday night or Monday. And when he posts it on Monday, he doesn't tell me. He doesn't send me a text like photos are up. But when he puts it on Sunday, he sends me a text, photos are up. And that's his way of respecting my Monday.
Super great.
I'm like, that's so cool. And I never asked him to do that, but he's, so like, in fact, this Monday he posted the pictures, didn't text me.
And this is biblical.
And it was really cool.
It's biblical because the Bible talks about taking a Sabbath and we work on Sundays.
Right. Yeah. And so take your day off and not just Saturday, like take a day off out of the office a week and be faithful to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we may differ a little bit here, but one of our mutual friends always would tell me, she's like, Victor, there's no such thing as burnout. She said, there's such thing as not taking self-care, not taking care of yourself, and it's really, burnout is a cop-out. It's really a thing. And what I would say is like, when you do, like, I'm sure policemen get burnt out, but that's a calling. Firefighters get burnt out, but that's a calling. Sure. Like, you're called to do, like, there are people that are called to be accountants. I know that sounds so weird, but listen, my daughter-in-law is going to school to be a teacher right now. She loves math. I hate math, but that girl loves math, and she's going to do it for the rest of her life. You have to be wired a certain way to do this, so you don't burn out.
Even the things like, there was a family that we knew that, like, both daughters went in to be dental hygienists.
That's wild.
And I'm like, and it wasn't like a family business. Mom or dad wasn't in dental work, but they both went in to be dental hygienists. They love it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, that's good. Do what you're called to do.
Right.
And of course, on the outside of that, from our end of it, they serve in the church. I mean, they are dynamic leaders in the church, and church leaders by night, hygienists by day. Sponsored by Dental.
Might not be the dental assistant that Gotham needs, but
the
where's Rachel?
Right.
Sorry.
Make sure you floss.
We're also stupidly entertained by comic books and metal bands, so that's something else we have in common.
That's a good conversation.
We're going to get in that conversation down the road. So your transition from youth pastoring to senior pastoring, you went from a great mid-sized church with a fantastic pastor, but Brian came here, and I'm going to tell you, Brian is one of the best pastors administratively that I know. And I'm just going to say that. I'm not saying that because he's sitting across the table from me, but he really is a great administrator. So go ahead.
Okay. And the guy that was here before me worked wonders getting the ship on the right side financially. And he did in his season what he was supposed to do, and it took a toll on him emotionally, and feel like
He's
it
a
was a
dear friend of
challenge. Oh
both of
yeah,
ours, and
great
amazing
pastor,
dude.
a great guy, and where he's at now, he's been there for a decade.
Yeah.
So it's like
one of the best guys
yeah,
on the face of the planet,
yeah,
literally.
and so I was able to come in and then work with people a lot, and so that it was a challenge, yeah, because we have a large facility, small congregation, and kind of disheartening, and so you've got those decisions to make. We've got the big sanctuary, which seats 700. We've got the old sanctuary, which seats probably like 150, 200. And it's like, do we move from the big sanctuary to the small sanctuary?
Have you had those discussions?
Well, within my own head, yes.
Okay.
When you're in a room that's that big and you have that, a smaller number of people, 100 or less, it does something to the energy in the room. It just
does.
kind of, it lowers the energy. But now, would switching to the other sanctuary, would that bring the energy up and bring up morale, or would it be a defeat to be, we can't even have church in the big sanctuary? What are we doing in here?
And that's the $1 million question.
And the sad thing is, you don't know until you try it. And we never tried it because I never the Lord never said go to the other sanctuary.
Right.
So those are the things that you balance as a pastor or as a leader in any form. You want to keep the morale up, and would that look like a step backwards, or would that bring energy up? We never tried
it. And Brian's facility, amazing, beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. This is one of the most beautiful. I was on staff here years ago.
You're a legacy guest,
I'm
my
a
friend.
legacy guest every time I come in. But I love this church. We're actually, I believe, this podcast studio that we're in now used to be at my office.
It did, yeah.
So I feel comfortable in here. I knew I always felt comfortable for some reason. Anyway,
yeah, this is the old youth.
So I mean, and really, Brian has turned this thing amazing and deserves a lot of kudos for that. But in saying that, all of that, I'm sure that there were times where you're like, ugh, this isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's times, and guys will jokingly say, well, I quit every Monday. I'm like, if you're quitting every Monday, go be a dental hygienist.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, but there were times where like I had a challenging conversation, in the last month or so, I felt that the Lord has shifted our church. He's performed a shift into a new trajectory. And the way I've told the people is that when the Lord shifts, the vehicle moves faster. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, things are going to move around the cabin.
Right.
And if you don't have your seatbelt on, you're going to get thrown around a little bit.
Absolutely.
But it's up to you not to get thrown out the window.
Sure.
And so we've had, the Lord's been shifting and moving. I mean, we're going such deeper places in our teaching and really attacking the religious spirit, and that religious spirit that will just kill productivity and kill actual church growth. And there's been some, okay, hang on. No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. You probably know what I'm going to say.
I know what you're saying.
But so for that to move forward, there's been this shifting. So at least the last month or so, there's been a lot of back and forth and a lot of like ups and downs.
That conversation you were getting ready to have is for the private sub channel that you have to pay $100 a month for.
The Patreon, right?
Private conversations.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of emotional roller coasters up and down. And so I had a down moment on Wednesday afternoon, and we were right back up. And then Wednesday night, boom, plummeted right back down. I learned a lot from Mark Rutland, who's an excellent author.
Oh, fantastic.
Speaker. And one of the biggest things that he said that has just stuck with me is, as a pastor or whatever else, he was the president of several Christian universities, but he goes, wherever you are, don't let it be your end all. Like, don't have it be, if I have to leave here, it's a tragedy. Always have something to go to, because if you don't, you're going to work. When things happen, you're going to panic, and you're going to work in fear and not in faith. And so always have something. After that, I'm pastoring on cloud 9 again, right. Because you can't pastor from a place of doom,
no.
And so, because I know I pushed all my chips to the middle of the table to come here.
Yes.
Because I sold a house that I loved. My kids were going to come and visit me. My grandkids were going to come and visit me at that house. and we sold it to come here. And so I was that was an emotional toll. And I'm a very sentimental fella.
Yes.
My wife is the exact opposite. She could throw a match, throw it behind her, and walk away. Yeah, that's the way she.
She's also,
Not that bad.
she's also a good friend of mine. Our
Mhm.
personalities are very similar.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Andrea,
Yeah, right.
Andrea and I are both matchstick. We're matchmen.
Right. Yeah.
Or women. However that goes.
But
So yeah, that it is. It's
some of that we may edit out later about
Yeah.
I got to get out of here.
But you know what? People
Maybe my people will hear it and go, man, we need to be nicer.
the reality of it is that happens. I can tell you, I can't say how many times in 10 years of pastoring, I was like, I'm done. We're get out of here. You know, for me, one of my things has always been, you always need a backup plan. You always got to have a backup. I tell every young minister, find a job. Like you need to have a job,
Yeah.
like something you can do. If the world goes to crap tomorrow, you need to be able to, whittle wood or play guitar in this, whatever it is.
That's
But have an extra hand. And construction's always been my fault too. Like I can go work construction, and so it's definitely something. But it's it's scary, and I think what makes it even harder is people. And as people are going to watch this, I'm sure that there's people that are going to watch this and think that I'm talking about them or you're talking about people when we say these kind of things in broad things. It's not. And I'll tell you like this, I would say from the pulpit, if you think something is affecting you, or you think that I'm talking about you in a broad stroke, you might want to go pray, because that's probably the Holy Spirit convicting you because you did something.
Yeah.
And what I'll tell you is that people are what make this job the hardest to anybody that's watching right now. Like that is the hardest part of the job, and it's the hardest thing for and I'll say that because I don't have any people right now, and I know Brian's over here like, I'll put it on me only. So, but no, people make the job hard, and that's where if you're shepherd material or not, because there's a fivefold ministry, and if you're not called to that fivefold ministry, in particular the pastoral role, if you're not concerned about if when you come to church on a Sunday morning and you don't know where people are on Sunday morning, that's not worry, that's concern. If rushing to the hospital to help somebody who is a genuine part of your church isn't something that you desire to do, if being at events, I'll say this, if your church isn't your biggest concern next to God, if God and then your church that you pastor, if that's not your two biggest in your family, I don't want to move family too far out of there because that's important too.
Families before church.
Yeah. And when I say that, I'm not talking about abandoning your family for church. No, I'm saying your church is it's where you are. It's what God's called you to do. If that isn't, those three aren't the three top things in your life, you need to reconsider what you're doing. I know pastors that are just like, I show up, I'll show you. And if they show up, why aren't you pushing? Why aren't you trying to make it happen? Well, I've only got 10 people. I've only got 15 people. Well, guess what? Every church that I can tell you that's worth its salt started with a short number. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, and again, fact check me. We got to come up with somebody. We got to come up with a name
right here. Yeah.
I believe when Brian Cutshaw went to Twin Rivers, and this is a Church of God pastor. Just so you know, Brian is a Church of God pastor. Pastors in the denomination of the Church of God, Cleveland, Tennessee. We love that organization. I cut my teeth in that organization. I love them. Love a lot of people in that organization. I am now Church of God of Prophecy, part of that organization.
So it's official announcement, right?
Well, yeah, this is an official announcement. We're planning to take a church in the Church of God of Prophecy. Basically, twin sisters separated at birth.
Right. Yeah.
But again, Brian Cutshaw, amazing Church of God pastor. He now works for Perry Stone at Voice of America, I believe. Voice of America, I believe, is the name of the ministry in Cleveland, Tennessee. He went to Twin Rivers, and I believe there was either 54 or 34 people his first Sunday, if you're remembering this book right.
Not many, yeah.
It was very small.
Yeah.
And within a few years, he had turned the ship around and became one of the stalwart churches in the Church of God, and is now still a very productive church in the ministry. And I say that because You don't have to have 1,000 people your first Sunday.
Mm-mm.
Matter of fact, if you and your family show up, I always tell my kids, if we're the only ones that show up, I'm going to preach to you like there's 100 people in the room.
Yeah.
And, it is what it is. And that's just because that's how I believe. And young minister guy that's going through right now, maybe, and you're probably thinking, oh yeah, these guys have never had to go through a struggle in their life. They've probably been given churches. Yes, I was given a church by an overseer. And when I got there, there were 26 people. And there was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and I had to turn that around.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it wasn't a piece of cake. And then,
I've never been appointed. We were voted in.
Yeah, voted in
by the processes of the church. Yeah,
and it's not like they just throw you. And the reason that they do that is because you got to have the tea to do what you do. You got to be able to do that. So
yeah. And I recently had a conversation with our state overseer, and it really did my heart good. That conversation did, because I was sharing some stuff with him, kind of to get some advice and to hear from him. And then there's something that I said about something, and at that point I said, Bishop, I think we might have been on the phone a little too long. I think I'm speaking a little too freely. And he said, no, he goes, Brian, if you can't talk to your pastor about this, who can you talk to?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm here to be your pastor.
Yeah.
And dude, that did my heart so good.
Absolutely.
And it released so much weight off of my shoulders.
Yes.
Because I'm like, okay, this, because you get to a place where you feel like you can get to a place where you feel like you're on an island, and you don't even realize you've done it. I've told people for years, don't get on an island. You're part of something bigger than yourself. You got people that, but then next thing you know, it's like you start to think this kind of way, and I don't want people to mess with this. And then next thing you know, you're on an island. And that's a challenge. That's a tough place to be.
It is. And I was part of the Church of God of Cleveland, Tennessee for my entire life, like I said. And 6-7 years ago, we made a decision. Yeah, 6-7. All the kids are going nuts right now.
That was for you, teenagers.
Yeah.
And kids. Yeah.
Join the club. It's about 6 or 7 years ago. I left the Church of God, everything I knew, and my decision. Nothing. I mean, there were some extenuating circumstances that are not important to bring up, but like my decision to leave, and I went non-denominational. I went independent, and while we had a good run and had good success, we were on an island. We were by ourselves. It was me reaching out to other independent pastors, trying to make time for myself. And I did find a few, but where I lived at and where I had church is kind of off the beaten path. I mean, you just can't get there. It's not like you're in a big city like Columbus, Dayton, Nashville, Jacksonville. You gotta be, you gotta go down a road to get to where I'm at. And so it was sad. It was scary. And there were times where I was like, I regretted my decisions and regretted my choices, not because I didn't think it was the right thing to do, but because I lost community. And I think the one thing, young pastor that's struggling right now, pastor that's out there, like, community is key if you're going to do it. Brian and I, for many years, were part of a pastoral covenant group together with some other great pastors. And it was one of the times I looked forward to that. Like, I would put it on my calendar, like, oh yeah, I get to go. And
that was my favorite lunch of the month.
We would go sit for 3 hours at a B-dubs in some random city and just talk about the stupidest stuff that we could come up with and serious stuff at the same time. And when you left, you just felt complete. Like, oh man, your wife is already getting hammered on every day because of the stuff you bring on and you lay on her. Your kids usually get your wrath or usually get the results of your attitude, just because that's just how it kind of works out. And so here you are, is like, man, these guys are going through the same thing I'm going through at the same time. God, there's somebody else out there that's willing to do this and is doing it faithfully.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part. Find some community. It doesn't have to be a denomination. But I will tell you, there's nothing wrong with a denomination.
But if you're in a denomination, take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it.
It's just low hanging fruit for you to just,
go
take
to
part
your
in.
go to
Yeah.
your yearly conventions, go to your camp meetings, go to your prayer conferences, go to your
Yeah.
mid-bitter meetings, get a part of covenant groups if you
Yeah.
have them. I mean, do it.
And we have our reports that we fill out once a month,
Yeah.
ministerial reports, and there was some I saw, and I was wondering if this was a new category or if it's been there the whole time and I've just totally missed it. But it was like there's a how many how many sermons preached, how many this all these little things, visitations and all this stuff to keep track. And one of them was how many like state functions or like denominational functions did you attend? And I'm like, has this been here the whole time? Because I don't think I've ever put anything. I'm like, when I go to state functions or when I go to like denominational functions, I'm like, do they think I've never been to these things because I've just never put it? It's always been blank,
But Brian and I are huge proponents of youth camps. Like we are
Mhm.
big, and when we worked together in the state in the Church of God, like we were on state youth boards and stuff together, and
Mhm.
we love it because it was the kids are having a ball. But here are a bunch of pastors that are getting to spend 4 weeks out in a campground. They say that
Mhm.
you're abandoning your church for 4 weeks. No, we
Driving-
go back and preach on Sundays.
Driving around on golf carts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some people taking the governors off of them. I'm not going to mention any names, but I know who you are.
Yeah. We don't want to out them
We don't out them
because we want to keep a good relationship.
Yes, and also that's where you learn out like that. Never mind. I'm going to stop. There's all kinds of stuff, but like these are important things. Like understanding your calling, understanding community,
Mhm.
and I think this we should finish on this. Like finances.
Mhm.
I'm going to say this, and this is a hard pill for a lot of churches and a lot of pastors to swallow. There's nothing wrong with being bivocational.
No.
And
There's not.
matter of fact, I've often told my wife, if we ever got to a place where there was some type of monetary income that we were getting to be able to pastor without having to work a full-time job, that I would not take a salary from the church. As a matter of fact, I was listening. I know this is odd to bring his name up, but because I know so many people are anti Joel Osteen, but I watched the interview that he did with the young YouTuber the other day.
Okay.
And he's like, I don't take a salary from the church.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, oh, Joey's a millionaire. Like, no, I get it from my books, from all these other.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago, Creflo Dollar saying, I was a millionaire before I became a pastor. I owned property.
Yeah.
And I think so many times people think, oh, ministry is these guys are living off of the church. Some guys do.
Yeah.
And they make a decent living off of it.
Mhm.
But others are struggling. When I first started pastoring, I was making $100 a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a thing that said like it was a little like a pastor talking about pastor stuff, and he had a little video on compensation, and they're like he said roughly you basically work on because it's a tough subject to talk about because the pastor is the pastor of the church, and he talks to the board. We have a council, the pastor's council, but you talk to the church leadership about your compensation. It's challenging. And so he goes, but on average, you get this ballpark of a Midwest pastor in an average sized city or town should make with their salary, housing allowance, and benefits and retirement about $85,000 to $90,000 a year.
What Midwest town is he living in?
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about, bro? Ham?
Jeez, almighty. I've never, and I would say it's not towards anywhere that I've ever worked. I've never had a church be able to pay for my
insurance
ever.
Right.
I lived in a parsonage that I had to put money into myself.
Mm.
It wasn't until like year 2 that I was able to go like full time. So I it's definitely definitely not everybody.
Right.
And I've seen those statistics. I've seen the money statistics.
And that's a challenging conversation to have because you have to advocate as a pastor to your leadership for yourself. And that's challenging. And
especially when you see the finances.
Yeah. And most pastors, guys with a good heart that say, because I've been there every year, I'm not going to take a raise. because we can't afford it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And we've been there.
And,
And yeah,
and I would assume that would be a part of reason some guys probably bail out.
it's stress, man. It
Yeah.
is to be like, the scourge of my existence as a pastor has been HVAC, and I'm like, because when you're dealing with a church and you come in with people, lots of times for a young pastor, the church and the people are in the same condition. They've been overworked, they've been underappreciated, and they haven't been maintained well. And so, but the difference is when you have to restore people and you restore a facility.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is when the restoration process gets difficult, the facility can't run away.
Right.
People do.
Yeah.
And so they feel that, the pressure or the pain of restoration, people run. But the facility, it stays.
It does.
And so that was, I had a conversation like that with one of our young men up on the roof when we were putting a roof on this church, and back in 2020. So in the middle of a pandemic, middle of a pandemic.
You owe me
That's right.
You owe me a summit. That's an inside
And
joke.
so it went. So we were able to do it, but that's challenging because you got the whole thing of like, oh man, all this the stuff with the facility, the stuff with this. I just want to work with people, and then you work with people, and that gets challenging, and you're like, where's the facility? It's like,
I would say sometimes it feels like you're pastoring the church more than you're pastoring the people.
Yeah, if you're pastoring a building.
Yeah,
right?
and that really was. We went into that. We went into a church where we were, a lot of money in debt. We had a flat rubber roof, and if you know anything about that, that's Satan's favorite game.
Yeah.
That's
leak central.
And again, if Satan can't get you, he'll get you busy, and that's what a building does. It keeps you busy. Outdated electric, and you're thinking, you're like, I can't even pay myself. Can't hardly pay the electric bill. Mm-hmm. How am I going to replace electricity? How am I going to replace sump pumps? How am I going to replace plumbing issues?
It seemed like just about everything we were doing, we were getting estimates for. It was like $20,000.
Yeah.
They're like, well, to replace this HVAC unit, one thing goes wrong with the HVAC unit. It's got the wrong refrigerant, and so we have to have a whole new unit, and about $20,000.
What costs you $700 in your house costs you $7,000 in a church.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's just a commercial building. Yeah.
And then so we were like, it was one of the panels, the electric panels in the back, and a guy was looking at it. It's an old one. We had to replace it, and he was like, well, it's going to be about. I said, let me guess, $20,000. He goes, how'd you know? I'm like, everything's $20,000, brother.
That's hilarious, man. But that's the reality of pastoring, and let us encourage you here that that's not the end all be all. Don't currently I work in the secular world. I have a great job, and I'm getting ready to go back into pastoring. And the reality of my position is I'm probably going to go to a small church, not because I'm not qualified to go into it, but because we want the opportunity, and opportunities are few and far between. And so you take the opportunities that you get with the okay of the Lord, and we're looking at it going, okay, we know that we're going to have to put our hands to the plow. And this is a different season. We'll have kids in this season. It's, our kids are all older and moved on, and so it's going to be me and her working again. It's so don't be discouraged because you're not the only one not getting paid. You're not the only one that has a dilapidated building. You're not the one. Excuse me. You're not the only one that's frustrated with people. This is what this is.
But if you're called to it, you wouldn't do anything else.
No, you won't.
I wouldn't do anything else.
No. I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
I remember this quote from a movie, and I often have told a lot of young men this that are coming into ministry. There's a movie called The Replacements with Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves. It's about a football team, and Keanu Reeves plays a washed up
scar.
Yeah. John Favreau, maybe one of his greatest roles ever. But
that's our podcast name. Chicks Dig Scars. Pastor's Podcast.
And we'll both be voted out on Sunday.
That's right. Yeah.
So Gene Hackman is a great coach, much like a Tom Landry. Keanu Reeves is a washed up college quarterback who only did one season, and they're working as scabs for the NFL. And Keanu Reeves is having no success kind of at the first part. and Gene Hackman, they're getting ready to play one of the tougher teams, and Gene Hackman meets him on the field, and they're just tossing the football. And he says, when I see you, I see two people. I see the guy that people say you are, and the one that you could be. And he says, I want to be there when those two meet. And and then he says, we do what we have to do until we can do what we're called to do. Mm. And those are lessons that I try to push on to people. Like, do what you have to do. You may not be able to have a Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Have a Sunday morning and make it the best Sunday morning. Be good at what you're good at. Know what you're called to do. Yeah. Just don't listen. I know imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but you're not a mega church. Don't be a mega church.
Right. But always work, and at that same level, at that same time, always work a level above where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw this. There was a podcast. I don't even remember what it was, and I was about to comment. I'm like, "Why are you guys doing this?" These two guys were making fun of this church, like these churches. Like there's this church that they run about 85, 90 people, and they have a parking lot attendant. Like parking lot greeters. Like, you don't need a parking lot greeter. You're running 85 people. What do you think? Oh, then you have like your the experience when you walk in the foyer, and then you got someone taking you to your seat. Like, come on. I'm like, and so I was like, why are you dogging this church who is working at the level they're striving for?
Exactly.
That's to have those kind of people, that's powerful to be able to do that. You got 85 people, but that church isn't going to have 85 people long.
No, it's not.
They're going to bust over 200 if they keep that up.
Yeah.
It's
mentality.
Yeah, and to be able to have the resources, to have the people, to have the organization to do it, you're destining yourself for greatness. And you got these two, yo-yos on a podcast making fun of them.
We're not doing that.
That's right. We're not doing that. I'll make fun of the podcast, but no.
God is the key to everything, but you need to be smart administratively. You need to be smart financially. You need to have goals. Listen, set a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20-year goal.
Yeah. Work where you're strong, staff where you're weak.
Exactly. And this is what I will tell you. We're going to wrap up here because I think we're just about out of time.
We're about 4 or 5 hours.
Right? Yeah. If you don't know if you're called somewhere or not, if you don't know, like it's when I was pastoring in the church I was at previously, I called my dad. My dad's been pastoring, been in ministry for over 55 years, I think, something like that. A statesman, a great man of God. I said, Dad, how do I know if this is where I'm supposed to be for the rest of my life? And without hesitation, he goes, go buy a grave plot. I said, what? He said, go buy a grave plot. He said, if you can picture your kids visiting you in that city at their grave plot, that's where you're supposed to be. He said, if not, count on moving.
Wow.
And I'm like,
that's good.
Like, okay, Daddy, that's why you're Daddy and I'm Bobby.
That's smart.
So, I mean,
was that one of those typical podcast moments? Wow. That was great. Smart dude.
That's where Dad's at. So
the first time I ever met your dad, you were not even with him.
Oh.
It was at a general assembly. And you're like, my dad's going to be there. My dad's going to be around. I'm like, all right. I saw this man that looked like you in 40 years, 30 years. And I'm like, that is Victor's dad. I was like, you don't even have to,
That has to be Pastor Ricky Lawwell, PhD.
Yeah. And then you came here like, hey, Brian, this is my dad. I'm like, of course it is. Like, there's no way around it.
He is my old doppelganger. So, but hey, listen, if you're watching for the first time, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I know we're being silly earlier, but
like, subscribe, and comment. If you have any questions, drop a comment. We'd be happy to answer it.
We're going to try to do a Q&A at some point. Mm-hmm. Again, we're doing this to kind of just be a little more transparent about pastoring. We want to meet pastors where they are. And if you're a pastor, let us know where you're pastoring at. We'll give you a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
We're not up to sponsorship or anything yet. They're not anybody sponsoring our channel or anything like that. Yeah. But if you feel led of the Lord,
you could be the first.
You could be the first for just $9.99. I'll send you a bottle of Miracle Water. Or some of this Coke that my lips touched.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, there's some anointing in there.
That's right.
We're not editing that out. That's
That's gonna stay. It's gotta stay.
So I'm going to ask Pastor Brian to pray us out because that's what you should do on a Christian podcast.
Of course. We have to.
Then we'll see you the next one.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
Sounds good. All right, Father, we just thank you for this this opportunity that we have to just be in your presence right now and to just talk the ins and outs and different aspects of ministry and pastoring. Lord, I pray for the young man or young woman that may be hearing this that feels like they may have a call to ministry. And Lord, I pray that you'd speak to their heart. I pray that they would have a good shepherd, that a good man or woman of God that is over them, that can teach them and to lead them, Lord. But I pray that they would seek you out above all, that they would seek your presence above pastoring, Lord, that they would seek you above any kind of ministry, Lord. And thank you that you've just brought us all together. Be with us, and we honor your name in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you for watching, guys, and we will see you on the next one.